Hi, this is Potpourri. I just want to tell you that this is a video series to help you decide if raising backyard chickens for egg production is right for you and your family. I'll also discuss all the things you need to consider to raise healthy egg layers. I really hope you enjoy the series. Welcome to the second video in the series of raising backyard chickens for eggs. I'm taking it you watched that first video in the series, which was the pros and cons of raising hens in your backyard for eggs. And you must have decided that yes, the pros outweighed the cons. So now you have another big decision. What breeds are you going to get and how many hens do you need? We'll cover all of that in this video. Now when you're trying to consider how many hens do you need to look at how many eggs a week does your family eat? How many do you use in baking? Are you planning on selling eggs? Are you planning on giving eggs to family and friends? You need to do the math on how many eggs you need per week. Now a little beauty like this is an Isa Brown. She's a hybrid and she lays about 5 eggs per week. So based on her, you could divide the number of eggs you need by 5 and come up with a relative number of how many hens you're going to need. Now, of course, something that also influences is how big is your backyard and how big a coop are you going to have. These are very, very social animals. I would never recommend only having 1 hen. They say it can cause psychological problems. You want at least 2. In fact, I recommend that you want at least 3. Because then if one dies, they have another one for company. And you might want to start small, have 3 hens the first year, see how it goes, see if this is really for you. And then you can add to your flock the next year or the year after. And that way also you get a more continuous production of eggs, because if you look at this chart here, you'll see that the egg production for a chicken decreases each year as they age. Your next decision. Do you want a full-size chicken like this, a standard size? She is 4+ pounds. Or do you want the more miniature version, which is a Bantam? And they can weigh anywhere from 1 to 4 pounds. And there can be advantages having the smaller one. They can be easier for children to pick up and look after. They take up less coop space. And of course, they eat less food. But the disadvantage is they lay smaller eggs. So it's really up to you which you would like. Now, not all breeds come in Bantam and not all breeds come in standard. So currently I have all standard chickens. They aren't all the same breed, but in the past I have had some hybrids. They were all silkies and they are just like just a poof of feathers. They're just a wonderful breed, and the roosters were so sweet. But I do like the full-size eggs. Now the next thing to talk about is some breed terms. There are heritage breeds. Think of those as your purebreds. There's a poultry association that comes up with a code for them, and they have generally been around for a longer period of time. And then you have your hybrid. Now this here is the Isa Brown. Oh, she's shy. Oh, there you go. She is a hybrid. So a hybrid is a mixture, kind of, if you think of the purebreds. And they have been developed often for better egg production or better meat production. Then there are also breeds that are sex-linked. And generally what that means is the color of the chicks is easy to identify who's the male and female. Now this is an Isa Brown, and when she was a baby chick, she was a little bit more of a tanner color, where a rooster, a male, would be more of a white color. Now you can't breed Isa Brown to Isa Brown and get an Isa Brown for sex-linked. That's a no-no. Just won't work. There's also something called the auto-sex link, and in those breeds, you can tell the chicks, which is male and females, generally by a barred pattern, and they do breed true. So you can breed one to the other. An example would be a barred Plymouth Rock hen, or chicken I should say. And there's some other terms that you might hear thrown around. You know, a cockerel, that's a immature male chicken. A pullet is an immature female chicken. And I think we all know what the mature ones are called, right? A mature male is a rooster, a mature female is a hen. So you also should look at what breeds have better egg production, if that's what you're after. And some breeds actually produce more eggs generally than others. So let's look at this chart for Carolina Coop. So you can see my little Isa Brown here, 300 to 350 eggs a year. Pretty impressive. And the Leghorn, which is a favorite down south, 280 to 320. And I've also had the Americana, that's 250. I have a Golden Lace Wyandotte, that's 200. I have a Copper Moran, that's 200. Now I want to caution, that is average among breeds. You can get one that doesn't lay at all, something's wrong, or lays even more than expected. There are individual differences. So there's another thing you have to think about before you settle on your breeds, and that's your climate. Some breeds are better for cold weather and some are better for hot. Now, Isa Brown is great for cold weather, and so are all the other hens that I have, because it can get really cold here in Michigan. But let's say you're down in Texas where it's really hot. You might want a completely different breed. Something that's really popular down there are the white Leghorns. But I'll show you a chart where it kind of shows what's better for hot and what's better for cold. And that's on backyard chickens. Now, one breed that can go either way is the Easter egger. We'll talk a little bit more about them. Now, certain breeds do better than other breeds in cold weather. Basically, they don't have the wattle here. They don't have a big comb, both which can get frostbite. And they're not really a small body size. So you want to look for that. Get the right breed for where you live. So one of the ways to decide what breed to get, or breeds, is to talk to others who also have backyard chickens, or area farmers, or your Tractor Supply or feed store where they sell chickens, because they're basically going to sell chicks I should say, that are best for your area. And you can also do a lot of research online at Backyard Chickens or My Pet Chickens. Both of them have a lot of information on the different breeds. If you're like me, one of the things important was the color of the eggs. I didn't want all the same color, and definitely not all white. And I thought also if I got different breeds, I could kind of tell who's laying or who's not laying by the color of the eggs. And there's, beautiful, almost a deep brown with these speckles on it type eggs, down to, of course, white. And you have a lot of different cream eggs, and green and olive and even blue, and ones that almost have a pinkish tinge, and tan. I mean, there's a wide variety of colors. Again, if you look at some of the online sources, such as My Pet Chicken, you can actually select breeds by the color eggs that you're looking for. So it's up to you. You might just want the best layers. So maybe you're going for someone like her, this Isa Brown. But maybe you also want a variety of colored eggs. Now do remember for eggs that generally they're darker in the beginning and they kind of lighten as the hen matures. So they aren't always the same color. Now maybe you also want hens that have a distinctive look. I mean, look at these. These are our showgirl. I'm sorry, I start laughing when I just look at them. They're a type of silky and they're called the showgirl because they do look like a Las Vegas showgirl, don't they? But you know what? They still produce 80 to 140 eggs a year. So if you want something that's comical looking, or you might think beautiful, look at those. There are all different types of chickens that you might like. There's frizzled ones, there's the ones with the plumage on top, all different things. So it's up to you what you want for your backyard chickens. The other thing that people look at is temperament and whether they do well being in a small cooped-in area. You know, I don't know how true most of those are. All my hens have had a great temperament. They have been hand raised, and maybe that makes a difference, but they're all pretty much sweethearts. But you may want to look at what other people say about a certain breed before you decide on that breed. Now, of course, if you want baby chicks, you need a rooster, but you don't need a rooster for your hens to produce eggs. And you should only have a rooster if you have 8 or more hens, because a rooster will service 8 to 10 hens. And if you have less than that, they can really, let's just say, wear out the ladies. So don't get a rooster if you only have 2 or 3 chickens. Now, roosters do guard duty. They guard the ladies from predators. If they're free ranging, they let them know that, hey, they found some interesting bugs or food. And they are, of course, a natural alarm in the morning. Now, that might not be something you want or your neighbors want, so consider that before you get a rooster. And of course, they can be strikingly beautiful. And some people have roosters that have gotten very, very mean. They take their guard duties a little too seriously. So that's something to consider too. But remember, you can have eggs without ever having a rooster. Before we end this, I want to show you my favorite egg-laying chicken. So, this is my favorite breed chicken. It's really a mutt. They're called Easter eggers. And you never know how one's going to turn out, but no offense, hon, but they're not much to look at. But they lay these beautiful, beautiful green eggs. And to me, those green eggs next to my dark brown one from my black copper Moran and my other eggs just are so beautiful when placed together. So, I just want to say, don't ignore the mutt. Definitely not a heritage breed, and not even much of a hybrid, because they all turn out differently. Yes, you do. Yeah, but beautiful, beautiful eggs. So that's it for this one in the series. Next up will be on coop. What should you consider? Thanks, this is Potpourri, and I hope you are happy raising backyard chickens.